Hi, everybody. We're here with Charlene Jones today, author of Medicine Buddha, Medicine Mind. Welcome, Charlene. How are you today?
Hi, Melissa. I'm feeling just fine, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
So, I have a few questions about your book. What was the trigger point that made you want to write this book, and when did that happen?
Well, this is what the book looks like, just for people who are interested to find the book. I hope the glare isn't too bad on that. I think we've caught Medicine Buddha there. Medicine Buddha, Medicine Mind was actually, originally, it came from a question I had after I meditated. Now, I've been meditating since I was 14, which is going back over 50 years. And I was in a temple in the north of India when I was 20 years old, and I was initiated into what's called the Vajrayana Tantra. Now, most people understand meditation as being the mindfulness practice, which is ubiquitous now thanks to Kabat-Zinn, and I'm very grateful for that practice to be so well spread. The other main trunk of Tibetan Buddhist meditation is not called mindfulness, is out of a practice called vipassana. And the other side of that is a practice called samatha. And so the visualization techniques that are in the Vajrayana are part of samatha meditation. And the way we're taught in the Vajrayana technique is that you should be doing a whole lot of visualization first before you go to insight meditation or vipassana. However things come to the West to help us understand more about meditation, it's a good thing. So, with that bit of preamble, there I was in a temple in the north of India. I started with 12 days of initiations, must have been about 15 or 18 initiations I received at that time. That sounds like I was some kind of special spiritual person who deserved that, and I wasn't. I want to tell you I was a road wreck. I should have been tossed at the side and left. I was really in bad shape for good reason. But I was there in the temple out of some grace of the universe, and I really took to the meditations. I really, for some reason, found them fascinating and interesting, maybe in part because I've always had a very powerful imagination. And I began to work with visualization. I began to work with it. And after a few years, I got pretty good at it. And what I recognized was that after every meditation session, I felt a little bit better. And in the world I had been in, the world I was coming from, feeling even a little bit better meant a whole lot, because without that, I was into drugs, alcohol, partying, all of those things that were not really life-affirming. So as I began to experience more and more of the meditation, that question deepened in me. What is it that makes that happen, and am I just imagining it? So when I started reading neuroscience, because I'm that kind of a geek, I got all excited about it. I came across it, and then I just started looking for it. I started realizing that this is the reason why meditation of this form actually works. That here in neuroscience was the explanation for how our brains function when we visualize. And it answers the question not only, is it meditation? It says, yes, it is meditation. It is imagination. But that's all you need. You just need an active imagination, a very powerful experience in visualization, continuing in that to actually change the physical structure of your brain, as well as the way the neural pathways are running. That's my inspiration for the book. So it took me if you want to look at it, it took about 40 years to come to fruition.
I did read on your website the phrase neurons that fire together, wire together. And that, I guess, summarizes. So was there anything that along the way in writing this book that surprised you in the process?
Yes. What surprised me is how much I fell in love with the material. How much I'm still absolutely fascinated by our ability to make pictures with our minds. It's just an area that I find completely compelling. One of the things that was structurally difficult about the book is that because the topic is actually consciousness, and in a sense, consciousness is the text. In my background of a double master's degree in teaching writing, and so a lot of English, a lot of writing, a lot of practice in language, I was taught that when you write, you're supposed to have a complete overview. You go to have complete control of the material so you can organize your thinking and get it all going. Well, I felt very much that in order to do that, I'd have to pretend I knew everything about consciousness, which clearly I do not, and I wasn't willing to do that. So that meant I had a challenge. I had to organize the book differently. And how I organized it, it feels a little bit like sections or a little bit like it doesn't have that frame. And that's on purpose because I brought in some history of Tibetan Vajrayana, some history of neuroscience, some history of Tibetan Vajrayana in North America, some of the current research in neuroscience, some of my experiences in Vajrayana, some of my experiences in life. And I had to kind of just pity-pat them together this way. I think they flow together fairly well in that sense, but there is a strange feeling in reading the book that it doesn't feel like other books that do have that frame. But that and the fact that I love the material and that it actually was a greatly passionate experience for me, passion of the mind to write it. That was a bit of a surprise, yeah.
Great. And so who are your readers and what do you want them to know about the book?
Well, as one might suspect, people who are already familiar with Tibetan Vajrayana may enjoy a look at this book. It's not going to be anything new or terribly deep for them. I have a picture of Medicine Buddha on the cover, but it is actually Medicine Buddha of the Sakyamuni tradition because he's in the earth witness posture. Don't worry about this. I'm talking to the Vajrayana practitioners, and I'm sorry to be so jargon-based. The actual Medicine Buddha practice is generally, Medicine Buddha himself is the color of this background here, the blue. He's the blue Buddha. Now, so people who meditate would be gravitate towards this book. People who are looking for release from pain, because the book actually does quite a bit of explication on physical and emotional pain, how we live in the ghost of pain, and how neuroscience is helping us understand how to refocus away from the pain. My way of teaching people who are meditation students who have been in pain or are in pain, try to find the demarcation between pain and fear, because it's fear that holds you to the pain. So if anyone's in pain and wants to find an alternate way to maybe work with that pain, this book is a very good beginning place and points to other books for you to get a handle on and take a look at. In addition to that, because of the nature of the material, East meets West, I think the book is actually not a bad place for people who are in general just reading for general pleasure and interest about the times we live in and how this arcane, very, very old, very esoteric tradition of Vajrayana meditation actually does what suddenly we learn in the West through neuroscience teaches us about how our brain works. And so those two coming together is like, oh, how did this group know, then this group now knows, and what can this group say to inform this group? And it goes back and forth. So multiculturalism from that perspective is involved as well.
Wow, that sounds like a really, really great book. For those of you wanting to purchase it, her book, Medicine Buddha, Medicine Mind, is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. And if you want to listen to Charlene's podcasts and find out more, you can visit her website at soulsciences.net. Thank you so much for joining us today, Charlene, and best of luck with everything going forward.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And again, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for all you're doing.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye for now.